Welcome back to Stock Therapy with Penny Queen. Today I have the CEO of CISO Global, Dave Gemmett here. Welcome back, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Penny.
All right, so I wanted to cover a couple big updates for the company. And one of the main things that I really wanted to talk about is the trading we've had lately and kind of shine a little bit of light on that. I know I did a poll on StockTwits where a lot of people are talking daily about the company. And I just wanted to share with everybody that we had 8.96 million shares accounted for just on StockTwits. And that is in addition to about 18.5 million shares with insiders, friends, and family. So basically, out of 31.049 million, we know where 27.46 million are. Now, I'm sure there's more shares held by retail who didn't get the message because I only put it out on one platform. But that means that we have locked up 88.45% of this stock.
That sounds about accurate. Yes, based on our calculations.
I think that the trading really reflects the fact that at least I'll speak for retail and say that we all have a really good idea of what this company is worth, and we're trading nowhere near there. So I'm really happy to see that people are holding their shares tight, and especially since we know what I would say that it's not a leaky bucket. It's a pressurized chamber. So I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see how well everybody is holding. And I just wanted to know what you thought about it.
I think it's fantastic. I think the message is coming across. A lot of people are doing research, and actually some of your followers and some of Reddit and Robinhood folks have called. One individual called and is becoming a filer, which means he really believes in the company. Another one posted similar information, but didn't quite have the delivery you do. So, but he had the numbers pretty accurately. What we're finding is there's more and more interest from the retail side. Obviously, institutional, I'll remind you, cannot, typically interact with us until after 5. So I'm pretty impressed that the folks aren't afraid. They're believing the company and they're holding their shares. So that makes me feel good that our shareholder base is weeding out those folks who are willy-nilly.
Yeah, I'm really excited on the retail side, the level of communication between other shareholders, because that really gets me excited, because I'm diving deep and I have a lot of people that are sending me information, different viewpoints, different things that they've seen. Some of them, it's really interesting because it's a different perspective. There's a few people out there that are really good at looking at trading very granular. It's a lot deeper than I normally look. And so those are good deep dives to go on. I know I've seen a few videos made by shareholders that were really helpful to me to kind of have an idea of what's going on, especially when you have days where, we have 80% dark pool trading. It's nice to kind of take a look at that and see what's going on. One thing I wanted to point out, because a lot of people were asking me about it, is that if you have shares at a brokerage, most brokerages have a policy of lending those shares out. If
Correct.
you do not explicitly tell them not to, and you might get a couple percent of the value over a year, but they take those shares and they use them to short and push the stock down. So if anybody doesn't know how to do it with their particular broker, feel free to email me. My email is always at the bottom here. Feel free to email me and I will get you the instructions. I know I had to do it with Fidelity. I had to do it with Schwab. And I'm pretty sure it's automatic if people are on like Robinhood or other of the discount brokers. So definitely that's a really good way to help stop people from shorting. I think the last I saw there was about 247,000 shares short, but it fluctuates all the time. But you're currently on the show list, right?
Correct. And to explain to the folks in your audience, and our shareholders. The show list means that NASDAQ actually halted trading. I'm not aware, that most people may not be aware. They halted trading when it went from $1.04 to 66 cents. And the reason they did that and they pulled the breaker was the anomaly in the stock. And as soon as they turned it back on, it went back up. It's slowly going back up. But the issue is um, there's no one really selling. So how did it start to slide that far? And that's where things like naked shorting.
Yeah, when I looked over the tape, I looked minute by minute at the sales on that day, and I think it actually made it to like 65.75 cents. It was on 400,000 shares.
Correct.
That's what they pushed through. And for people who don't know, when you put stop losses, I know I already went on a really long rant about this in a Substack, but when you put stop losses, those are targets, especially if you put them at really round numbers. If you put a stop loss at $1, well, if I were to sell short, that would definitely be a target. You hit it and the floor falls out. So, stop losses are a good protective tool if you're aware of what's going on in the market. I think alerts are a much better tool because you can have an idea of what's going on. But a lot of people set their stop losses with market sell orders, and that, you've got market makers that are taking your shares at $1, selling them to somebody else for $1.10. I mean, they're making a ton of profit on it. And then you have other people who are just shorting, trying to find the bottom. And a lot of them then buy in. And I don't like them profiting. So, all right, that's enough of my rant.
I think the CEO of Pelotar said it the best. I hate naked short sellers.
Yeah.
The issue is it's illegal, number one. But number two, I think it's a valid point to bring back to the attention that NASDAQ saw it, halted it, and then the next day put us on the show list, which means they have to recover their shares and present them within a 72-hour period. And if they don't, they're fined. And those are broker dealers typically.
Yeah. So, I mean, between being on the show list and having so much of the float dry up with, everybody's holding their shares, the trading has been less exciting, but it looks like it is primed for a catalyst. So I will just leave that in your lap, and I'll move on to last week you had news on SOC 2. Can you explain what that was?
SOC 2 is essentially, a lot of people do self-attestation, which means they check their own boxes. Well, because we're a cyber company, we handle privacy matters, data, breaches. We actually monitor people's network and have a lot of information. SOC 2 compliance, we had a third party come in and actually audit us so that our data integrity, process procedures, and privacy were in place. And that's what SOC 2 is.
All right. So I read it, I looked at it, and I realized that it was over my head for the day. So I thought I would ask. Like, I know it's a good thing, but I didn't know specifically what it was. All right. I do want to talk a little bit. The main thing I wanted to accomplish today was a kind of a walkthrough of Checkite. But before we get there, I wanted to talk about the cybersecurity shifts happening at the policy level federally, and how you think that will impact CISO's business.
From the government perspective on the policies?
Yeah, just there have been a lot of there were some cybersecurity statements made about rolling back a lot of our, the federal guardrails, basically.
Well, actually, they did that, and a lot of people don't realize CISA, CISA, is one of the agencies that protect government agencies from cybercrime, and they laid them all off, and then real shortly afterwards hired them all back in a week because you're taking away essentially the digital wall from the hackers coming in. Now, obviously, they're still coming in, but I think based on what I've discussed with some of the government and some of the folks within government, cybersecurity is a number one priority. I think they understand, based on the breaches, and some of the agencies that have been breached, that they need to, be more robust and bring others in. So it's, even the government has suggested, instead of using our internal folks, 25% on projects internally can be used and sponsored by external companies, cyber companies coming in and actually doing the work for them, helping them with their projects.
Okay, so I mean they could be effectively creating more business.
Yeah, I think they obviously realized they made a mistake, taking away our protection, just like we have, the Army, Navy, military to protect our sovereign. They were there to protect our digital world, and taking that away was a pretty serious move. It was apparent pretty quickly, and so within 1 week, they were back.
All right. Well, then, well, that'll be interesting to watch. I know I'm very interested in the services business because you've grown that into a nice, robust business. But my heart is really on the high margin software side.
Correct.
So, as I'm sure most shareholders are, but I want to talk a little bit about Checkite and just make sure that I've got this right. As while people are getting a warranty with it, it's also increasing their insurability.
Correct.
Right? Can you talk a little bit about cyber insurance and the inherent problems with those policies?
In the beginning, I still remember the first cyber policy. I had a carrier ask me to look at the documentation. It was 2 pages. So it was a quick way to add on and add revenue. But soon insurance realized that they were losing $1,600 per every dollar spent. So a lot of carriers stopped using it. Because again, cybersecurity is just come out and it's evolving every day. With the insurance themselves, they look at organizations that have track records, which we have gotten through our partners in insurance, as we announced. They've been very confident. And so a major carrier, instead of going to some of my competitors, you spend $1 million and you get $1 million policy per breach, said based on our track record and the customers that they insure, if they put their product within buying the insurance, they'll get $1 million per incident, no matter how much they spend.
That's okay. That's a really, really key differentiator too, because when I looked into the policies and the warranties for your competitors, it was basically that they'll pay up to X amount of your costs. So, I mean, it's kind of like that is a very different story. So, I like the idea of insurance companies being able to offer a policy and then having their own insurance of this person or business being compliant. I mean, that makes much more sense. I'm sure they're thrilled to have the option, and it makes a lot more sense for businesses to be able to get insured, to be able to have that warranty as well. So if I wanted Checkite for my business, what would the process be like?
Well, there's 2 ways. The insurance that we just announced has put it on their website. So if you get cyber insurance, there's a link that actually you'll click and download that software. And it's very easy. We've made it user friendly so that you put your information into it. Essentially, it secures your endpoint, your laptop, desktop, and then we start monitoring it. Well, we have such a vast array of those out there today. We have data points. AI is taking all those threats that are coming into your phone, for example, and seeing the differences. Not only does the person who gets Checkite, but everyone who's using Checkite gets the benefit of seeing those different threats so that we can thwart them before they get to the machine.
All right. I'm excited to see what kind of adoption you end up getting on the true retail side of just individual users, and then also to see how it grows in the small and medium business side of things. That'll be, I mean, I know those are the numbers that we're all waiting for. So you're probably more ready to see that than I am. But all
Yeah,
right,
we
well,
with the adoption with the insurance, they're putting it on their website, and they're very sizable, obviously, and have tens of thousands of customers, and they're encouraging them to use that software, which immediately notify us as they download it. We take the information and start monitoring it immediately. So um, several insurance organizations are very interested in the product to have that available for their clients.
all right. Well, I am ready to see the rollout, and yeah, we'll have to touch base on that as soon as it happens. So, all right. Well, thank you for your time today,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for helping keep retail advised of what's going on. It is very nice to have a company willing to communicate. So thank you.
As much as I can, I'm here.
Yeah,
And obviously,
I know it's hard. It's got to be hard sitting where you sit, not really being able to give the kind of transparency that I imagine you want to, but um, I don't know. I appreciate you talking to us when you can, and letting us in on the inner workings that we can be privy to. So
well, I appreciate it, and appreciate all the calls I do get, because it's encouraging over the last 3 weeks of retail reaching out to us and saying, you know, I'm buying your stock, I'm accumulating it. And they've given us some good suggestions, some good, some bad, but it's always good to hear from our shareholders that support our organization.
all right, perfect. Well, thank you, Dave.
Thank you.